Okay. One last thing. Okay. Everything should be ready. Hi, my loves. I hope you're all having a lovely day. This is a game I found on itch.io that looked really cool. Also, wait, I got my mic at home, so let's hope my computer mic isn't too bad. Okay. Let me know if my mic is too quiet or too loud or anything like that. Can we double check real quick? But, okay. That works, but I'm gonna turn it down. Let me know if it's too quiet or too loud. Or just if it sounds bad. It probably sounds bad, but I forgot my mic, so we're sadly gonna have to work with it. Okay, everyone ready? Seatbelts, everyone. Oh yeah, warning, this is a horror game. I don't think it contains much gore, but it will contain, like, horror themes. So, if you don't like those, probably skip this video. The only trigger warnings I saw were vague mentionings of homophobia. Other than that, everything should be good. Okay. Let's start. You are running through a forest. It is late at night and the sky is black as pitch. There is nothing to light your way save for the moon's milky glow, but its rays cannot reach you, not properly. This is very pretty so far. The trees which surround you, jutting out of the earth like eerie monuments to a foreign god, are blotting out most of the light. Yeah, this is written very pretty. You cannot see where you are going. Even if you had commenced your flight at a more sensible hour, however, with the light of the sun to aid you, it would be of little use, because the trees are blocking the sunlight. That makes sense. You do not know where you are going. You have no map, no route, no plan. How did we get here? You are running like a frightened animal, anxious and nervy, with no destination in mind. You have no desire, as you run, save to escape. What are we escaping from? What happened? You cannot let yourself be caught. If that were to happen, you are certain that you would be ruined. You have no choice, therefore, but to keep going, on and on and on, though your feet are screaming at you for mercy. What are we running from? What's happening? You have no idea how long you've been running. Time has begun to blend together. It has lost all meaning. Something sharp snags at the hem of your skirt, but you do not have the luxury to pause and examine what has happened. Instead, you tug. Your skirt tears, the sound splittering through the forest, and you stumble forward with a shocked gasp. You are free, but at what cost? The cost of your poor skirt. Her skirt has been irreparably damaged. If you're running from something, I think it's worth, living. I think your skirt isn't as important as you being alive. Did I accidentally click something, or is it asking me to save? Okay, I just accidentally clicked something, we're fine. It might be too late to worry about such trivial matters now, though. So you do not start running again, and soon she will catch you. Who is she? Is she cute? Is she pretty? Then your life will be over. Still, is she cute? Is she pretty? You do not know if she is still following you, but you do not want to risk looking over your shoulder. If you were to... Oh, sorry. If you were to see her silhouetted beneath a tree, looking at you with that sickly sweet smile which once ensnared you, you would lose what little nerve you possess. Your legs would lock up and your blood would freeze in your veins. So who is she? It seems like we had some sort of, what's the word, relationship with her before? Like, the sickly sweet smile which once ensnared you, so we liked her at some point, but now she's trying to kill us. Then you would crumble. You would fall, but you would not hit the ground. She would be there to catch you. Did she not promise when you made that contract that you would never be alone? What contract did we make? You would like to take back that silly wish of yours, but it is too late for that. It seems she's like obsessive in some way, and we made a contract with her. It is too late for a lot of things. All you can do is run. You run and run and run while icy fog swirls about your feet. It is cold enough to sap the heat from your body, and you shudder from it. It feels as though you are drowning. It feels as though you are being buried alive. Your knees and your shins, meanwhile, are bleeding. From the running, or? You cannot endure much more of this. But if you value your own life, you must. Sorry, it always scares me when my computer, when I'm streaming, goes, camera on! Because I'm like, what? You run and you run and you run until, at long last, you reach a fork in the road. There are 3 paths which split off through the forest. I'm sensing a choice coming up! Everyone get your thinking brains on! Let me move positions. Drink a little water. Well, fourth, you count the path down which you came. Don't go back the path down which you came. You're gonna go directly towards her. You cannot exactly double back on yourself, though. Not when you have put so much effort into running forwards. Yeah. You can only press on. The 3 paths are signposted, which is something of a strange sight given you are so deep in the forest. I wouldn't trust the signs. Dark though it might be, you have grown accustomed to the shadows. This game is so pretty. Like, the language, the wording choice, the images, not even just like the tree pictures and stuff like that, but even like the roses around the text. You can just about pick out the writing on this old, dilapidated signpost. Excuse me, curved and slanted though it is. Your fate, if you will forgive me for sounding cliché, is in your hands. Now, I wonder, which path will you take? Let's see the paths. Go to the shore, go to the village, or go to the castle? Let's save. The castle sounds really cool. The shore sounds really pretty, but if it were me, I would go to the village. Because, like, if you're being chased by someone, assuming this is a normal village and they're not all insane, which, like, you know, like, what's the word? When you're in a running scenario, you kind of have to try your options, and you don't really have much other of a choice. If this is, like, a normal village, then the person's not going to kill you in front of a bunch of people, and even if they did, like, in a village, someone would try to stop them, or someone would call the police or something, call the sheriff. So I say we go to the village, but the castle does sound very cool. Just because if I were in that scenario, I would run to the village so that hopefully more people around, more safety. So you want to go to the village? Good idea. Thank you. I have a feeling this isn't going to end well, though, just from this being a horror game. Let us see what further trials await you there. The night is far from over, as much as you wish it was, and there is still much and more to discover. I wonder what will happen next. Me too! Winkies! You follow the path which leads to the village, supporting yourself on weary, aching limbs which you feel ready, at a moment's notice, to snap at the knee beneath the burden of your weight. I could not run like this, I would be dead. My hip would pop out and she'd catch up to me. The soles of your feet are screaming at you. You need to lie down, quickly. You only hope as you continue to run. Oh yeah, that does make sense. You only hope as you continue to run that you will find a suitable residence in which to rest at the village. Or just hopefully someone to, like, make sure I don't get killed. You do not know what will await you at the village, but you have visions as you run of a quaint, scenic settlement. All thatched cottages with sloping roofs. That's what I like to imagine, but I don't have a good feeling. Like, what cute little village would live in this forest? Surely there will be a kindly peasant who will be willing to put up a young runaway for a few nights. You would guess so. or just at least for us to lay down temporarily. You can imagine, too, the face of this kindly peasant from the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. She will be broad-shouldered and ruddy-faced, with dull brown hair crammed beneath a cap. Her arms will be sturdy from many years of washing clothes and milking cows. She will be kind to you and compassionate, just like a mother. You do not know what mothers are like. You hardly ever spoke to yours. Aw, that's sad. You are only guessing. You're not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream, and you do have a few reservations. Peasants do not, as you know from your forcerous reading, have much money, nor do they have much food. Yeah. Might be hard to convince a resident of the village, even the kindly washerwoman of your fantasies, to take in a complete stranger. Yeah, but even just laying down in the center of a village is safer than laying down in a forest, you know? Even if you were laying on the concrete. Still, you must try. That is all you can do, really. Oh, this is really pretty! So you run to the village. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you manage it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time had begun to lose all its meaning? Oh, who are we talking to? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwelt within it. It is still cold, though, and still foggy. It is still dark, too. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now, though, as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. The moonlight shines down upon the village, nestled among the hills like a diorama. Hope anew bubbles within you. You have finally made it. Surely naught but your salvation awaits you. Follow the winding dirt path to the village, looking this way and that, but your hope, such a precious, fragile thing, soon begins to fade. The village, up close, does not look as welcoming as you imagined. Uh-oh, I know it. There are cottages, yes, but they are in a state of disrepair. I was worried it would be abandoned, because, what village can stay alive in this kind of forest? There are holes in the roof and holes in the windows. Most of the doors are tightly shut, but others are gaping open, the kitchens beyond them even darker than the night sky which shrouds you. Uh-oh. There are no lights on any of the windows, and neither can you see any people, insomniacs like you, at them. You cannot hear anything either, beyond the sound of your own footsteps and the low, mournful sighing of the wind. A good thing. I mean, who's gonna stop you from sleeping in their bed if no one's there? A bad thing. Who's gonna protect you from the killer if no one's there? The village is quite quiet, eerily so. It is immediately obvious, even to a naive girl such as yourself, that something terrible must have befallen on this village. Something that's so scary to me is abandoned stuff that clearly wasn't meant to be abandoned. Everyone's stuff is left perfectly in place. Because it's what made you leave so quickly you couldn't even grab your stuff, you know? You know before you try your luck at one of the houses that nobody will answer you. There will be no kindly, red-armed washerwoman to welcome you here, no matter how much you wish for it. Break in! Breaking and entering! But that does not stop you from wishing regardless. I mean, the beds are still probably something. Your knuckles rap smartly against the wooden door. Your efforts soon prove, however, to be in vain. There's nobody here to hear your entreaties. Break in! How very sad. Try another door, then another, but the result is the same, no matter how many doors you rap upon. Some of the doors were open, just go inside. Nobody answers you. How could they? There's nobody there. Once again, you have found yourself all alone. At least you have found some dwellings in which you can rest your weary head. That's good. Will you utilize one of these cottages for your purposes? Nobody's here. You might as well. I thought it's going to give us another choice. Let's save. But no, an abandoned cottage is not what you are looking for. You would far rather have companionship, would you not? I mean, I would, but for now, I don't know if I can keep running as I continue. Bravely, you swallow your tears. You wipe your eyes with the back of your arm in a well-practiced motion, then inhale. You square your shoulders, and you keep on going. Are you sure you can do that, girl? Surely the village cannot be completely deserted. There must be one person here, at the very least, who can help you. If it's partially deserted, I doubt there's anyone there. I hate to tell you, but it's smart to look for signs of life. This is what you are thinking as you resume your search. You flit from cottage to cottage with precious little to show for your determination until you make yet another discovery. Did we find dead bodies? This village, with its squat thatched cottages bathed in the moon's glow, has a church. Oh, well, of course it has a church. The villagers who once dealt here were not godless heathens. Not that their faith did them all that much good in the end. Still, the sight of the church soothes your overtaxed heart. You were so focused on your fantasies of a kindly washerwoman taking you in, you did not pause to entertain the fancy of a kindly nun doing much the same. All hope is not lost. The creepy thing is also it's abandoned, but where are the bodies? Hi, Fire! Welcome! Glad to see you! How are you doing? Getting ready for school? We are playing a horror game, so warning for horror stuff. We are running from some type of girl we made a contract with. We found a village, but it's empty. You approach the church, which seems to tower over you despite it being so humble. Don't mind me in the middle of the night. Get some sleep! Oh, wait, it's probably like Friday or Saturday your time. Get some sleep, but also you can enjoy the weekend. The church is a small one, but it is stout and sturdy. It must be, for it has withstood centuries, forever standing, sentinel on this hill like a relic from a bygone era. Bro, it's 3:16 to me, meaning it's Sunday and tomorrow will be Monday. Oh my goodness, wow. Oh yeah, I forgot it's Saturday my time. I thought today was Friday my time. Oopsies. The church does not have any stained glass windows, but it does not need them. Even without more luxurious trappings, the church still exudes an aura of dignified solemnity? The stone building is fringed by a sizable graveyard, one which occupies the rest of the hilltop and some of its sloping sides. You seem in the middle of the night to me. You forgot? I forgot. Oops. Please. The graves which have been planted by generations of wardens are hewn from a similar stone to what the church's walls are made of. Some of the gravestones are shaped like lozenges, while others are shaped like crosses. Let me look up what a lozenge is. Yeah, I thought they were that thing you suck on when you have a sore throat. So they're those little pills you suck on when you have a sore throat. What? Okay. A handful of headstones are even shaped like angels, though these are far and few between. There are very few people in a village such as this one who can afford such luxurious final resting places. You look at the tombstones with an almost childlike curiosity, forgetting in your examination of the visceral, heart-rending fear which gripped you as you ran through the forest. It's good we're calming down, but lay down, girl! You need to lay down! You are out of the woods now, and you have, subconsciously, already begun to relax. I'm glad you're relaxing more. It's good for you, but I don't know if you should be right now. Have some grinding overnight in the game, so yeah, I stopped. And now I'll eat, but before I came here to say hi. Well, thank you for saying hi and stopping by. Bye-bye. Thank you. I hope you have a good sleep. Sweet dreams. Sleep well. You try to read the names hewn into the myriad tombstones, but it is dark and you are tired, and some of these graves are very, very old indeed. Go take a rest, girl. Strain your eyes, but you do not have much luck in this endeavor. Still in your bed to eat. Fine. Temporarily. Oh well. But you better clean it afterwards. Oh yeah, posture check. Thank you. I was literally sitting like the letter C. Such I knew how to pronounce this word in the past. I'm totally not looking it up. Superfluous. Such superfluous details are not important. Oh yeah, water. Thank you. Speaking of, I should go grab a new water real quick. I will be right back. Let me have it playing the music so that you guys aren't just sitting in silence. Okay, I will be right back. Let me grab more water. back. Okay. You eventually tire of examining the graves and turn. This graveyard is an expansive one, and usually so, given the village itself is so small. How can it boast so many corpses? And there's much to explore. That's what I'm curious about. Where did the village go? Because we haven't found a corpse yet. Although we haven't gone inside. You walk about the perimeter of the church, casting your gaze first here, then there, then everywhere, consumed, as you are, by your immense, all-encompassing curiosity. And as you do, you see her. Yeah, I was like, why are we relaxing? We gotta stay on the move. Or like, we could rest, but in a hidden place where she can't see us. Okay, never mind. I thought it was the girl chasing us. We're girl, we found another human being. It does not matter that she was a girl. I just meant human in general. She looks like an ordinary girl, small and scrawny, just like yourself. But she is much, much more than her unremarkable appearance might suggest. For some moments you observe her, hiding all the while in the shadow cast by the church, like a furtive lizard clinging against a rock edifice to shroud itself from the sun. There's no sunlight here, though. There's only the night sky and the stars and the moon. Beneath the moon's light, a silvery implement the girl is clutching shimmers. It takes you a few moments to see what it is that the girl is clutching in her hands. It's not until you see her manipulate it, its sharp edges biting into the earth, that you understand. A shovel. It's a shovel. This girl is standing in an isolated corner of the churchyard late at night, and she is digging a grave. Well, you suppose she could always be digging a hole for the sake of it, but her work seems much too precise for this to be the result of mere whimsy. It is hard for you to see her face, given the distance between the pair of you, but her posture is one that speaks of supreme concentration. She moves slowly, mechanically, like a woman on a mission, driving the end of her shovel into the earth over and over. So, I don't fully trust her, but she's kind of our only hope right now. Her motions are regular enough to be repetitive. There is something hypnotic, almost, in the manner in which she attends this task. Should you risk interrupting her? Do you dare? Get the feeling that she would not appreciate it. The shovel in her hands, meanwhile, is rather hefty. If she wished it, she could cause you no small amount of damage with it. Cold anxiety makes your skin prickle. You do not know if you should risk speaking to her when she, in her dark cloak with her shovel, looks so very strange. But what do you have left to lose? You've come this far. It would be folly to turn back now. It is with this thought in your mind that you decide to approach the strange girl. Her footsteps are quiet. You have grown accustomed to slinking around like a cat, but they are not quiet enough. The girl's senses must be finely tuned, because she blinks. Then she turns. Your eyes meet, and once they do, you feel your breath catch in your throat. You did not have a clear view of the girl before, concealed as you were in the shadows, but now that she's looking at you, you can tell that she's pretty. She's very pretty. Her skin is very smooth, and her hair, though obscured by a dark hood, is very fair. Her eyes, meanwhile, are clear, cold blue, like ice. Sorry, water break. Those eyes of her, which are large with unease, are fringed with very long, fair eyelashes. She looks as though she has stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She's simply too perfect to belong to this world. Perhaps she has some kind of vision, a walking dream, a hallucination? But no, she's none of those things. The shovel she was clutching in her hands looks solid enough, its pointed tip glittering wickedly in the moonlight. You steel yourself, expecting perhaps some sort of outburst. But the tension soon drains from the girl's slender shoulders. Her fingers, which once were gripping the handle of her shovel tightly, relax. Ask her for help! Scream for help! Her lips curve upwards at the edges. I don't like that. Why is she smiling at us for? She is smiling, and what a smile it is. It is transformative. We can agree to disagree. If I was running for my life for help and I saw someone alone in a graveyard who then smiled when they saw me, I would not be happy. When she smiles, she looks radiant, angelic almost. Here's a smile that is so suffused with light that your eyes begin to prickle from it. You are so relieved you almost feel as if you could cry. It would not be the first time you have wept during this night, and neither would it be too surprising if you did. You have been through a lot. You must be exhausted. The girl holding the shovel seems to realize this because she bridges the distance between you two cautiously, as one might approach a skittish cat. Then she says, in a rough voice which does not match her dainty appearance, well, she does live in a royal village, what were you expecting? Oh, it's so good to see another person. I was afraid I was the only person left alive, the only one in the whole world. Yeah, and I need help, girl. Now, this is quite the effusive greeting. Her introductory speech is riddled with exclamation marks. She's rather more personable than her apparel would make one suggest. Okay, that's a normal reason to be happy. You, a well-bred young lady, can't help but feel overwhelmed. It is your turn now to be on your guard. Anxiously, you observe the girl with the shovel and you ask her what she means. What happened? Oh, do you not know? There's an awful lot you do not know. So much, in fact, it would fill a whole encyclopedia. So she's alone here. No, a whole library. You shake your head, ashamed at your ignorance, and the girl frowns. You mustn't be from around these parts. I guess I should have known. This village is a small one, and everybody knows everybody else. The girl's expression falls. At least, they used to, back when there were still people to know. That ain't the case now, though. Not after the plague. Oh, the plague, that makes sense. There was a plague? But then where are the bodies? That would certainly explain why the village, when you walked through it, was so quiet. Did everybody else succumb to this mysterious illness? That's right, it's just me here now. Not seen another human being in a long, long time. It gets so lonely here. She said the title of the game in the game. Now that is an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a burr. So how is she taking care of herself out here? Have you heard it before? You do not have much time to ponder this, however, because the girl takes a step towards you. Yeah, I heard it because it's the title of the game. Oh, but where are my manners? They must have gone rusty after being on my own for so long. Tell her you're being maybe it's because I'm, like very open with what's going on with me, but I would be like, I am being chased, we need to hide, help me. My apologies, miss. You look like you've come a long way. You said you were a traveler, yes? And your hands are very cold, just like ice. Is she touching my hands? Do you like to come inside? Maybe have something warm to eat and to drink? My home's small, I'm afraid, and my food ain't nothing fancy, but I'd be more than willing to share. It's not every day another girl stops by, especially not one as pretty as yourself. I'm feeling very blessed. Girl laughs, a carefree, airy sort of laugh which does not match your initial impression of her. You thought when you saw her among the graves that she would be more distant, somehow, and more mysterious. Perhaps you were mixing her up with somebody else. You're still unsure you can trust this girl, but her invitation is an appealing one. It is much more appealing, certainly, than spending the night outdoors in the cold, kipping on the graves. What are you, a romantic poet? Please. You make a show of pondering the girl's invitation. At the very least, you do not want to appear too eager, but your acquaintance is also an inevitability. Why isn't she telling her, hey, I'm being chased, I need help? I know she doesn't know if she can trust this girl. Maybe I'd be dead. I trust people too easy. I would be like, hey, help me, I'm being chased. Why would you ever refuse her? She's the first friendly face you've seen all night. Without her, you would be all alone. Don't sign another contract, though. Your hostess leads you to a small, humble home, located but a stone's throw away from the church, built in the shadows of a twisted, towering sycamore. The girl's home is in such a state it seems a folly to even call it a home. Hovel would, to you, be the more appropriate descriptor. But when your hostess leads you inside, her eyes alive, and she says, "Here we are, home sweet home," you don't have the heart to tell her that you don't find her home very homey or very sweet. That would be incredibly rude, and I wouldn't see the point. As a guest, you ought to be more appreciative. And also maybe tell her you're being chased. Because, what if the girl comes in and hurts both of you? Half-heartedly, you look around your newfound surroundings. The ceiling is supported by wooden joists and it is perilously low, not so much that you are in danger of bumping your head, but just enough to feel claustrophobic. There is a fire in the corner, though it is not consigned to a grate. The fire instead is blazing in the open, a circle of logs set alight like a scene from a witch's kitchen. Above the fire hangs a silvery pot suspended from one of the wooden eaves. Uh-oh. Sorry, done. Other objects of interest are hung from the eaves. Iron implements you take to be cooking utensils, various herbs, and strips of meat left to cure. The smell of cooking fills the air, mingled with the sharp, sour scent of unwashed bodies. How, you wonder, does your hostess clean herself? Yeah, I was thinking of that. You do not see a bathtub anywhere. Perhaps she does not possess one. The girl's home is unremarkable in every regard, but it is, you suppose, better than nothing. Also, like, it's safety. Like, it's a lot harder to find someone in a house. How is she forgetting about being chased to be murdered right now? At least there is a roof over your head and food to put in your belly. The girl looks to the pot, suspended over the fire, which she gives a stir with the ladle. Then she brings the ladle to her lips to taste whatever concoction she has brewing within it. You can only hope that she is not, like the weird sisters from that famous play, brewing a broth with fenny snake fillets. Yes, I think this is just about done, the girl says to nobody in particular. She sets the ladle down back into the pot, then looks to you and smiles. Do you want something? It looks as though you've come quite the long way, and you must be hungry. These words are like music to your ears, even more divine than the trumpets of God's most loyal angels. You are so hungry you could eat a horse. Not that there are any horses in the immediate vicinity. That also makes sense for a plague, because, like, the animals would die too. You express your interest to the hostess, who smiles in response. How does she get the materials for the soup? Because if she's by herself, does she have to farm all that by herself? That'd be so scary! Like, imagine back in the day, like, your whole village dying and you just being left alone. I thought you'd like the sound of that. Just give me a few moments. Sorry, drink of water real quick. Your hostess retrieves 2 earthenware bowls from a cupboard with rickety hinges, into which she pours 2 hefty helpings of whatever it is she's cooking. Yeah, where'd she get these ingredients? This she serves with bread, which is so hefty it could be used as a murder weapon. It's not much, I'm afraid. It's only soup and bread. Should take the edge off your appetite, though. You thank your hostess for her hospitality, your stomach rumbling all the while. Soup does not look like anything you would typically consume, but the soup's poor presentation does not dissuade you. It is true enough that people eat first with their eyes, but when one is hungry enough, one becomes obliging enough to eat almost anything. Yep, fair enough, honestly. Why else do you think that people stranded upon desert islands will resort to cannibalism? That's a dark reference, when everything's nice and happy right now, and we're forgetting about the fact we're being chased by some sort of monster. Humans are creatures of necessity. You like to wrap yourselves up in pretensions, but in actuality, you are not much better than animals. Who is our narrator? Because they do not seem to like us. You are so hungry, your stomach is achingly empty, that you certainly descend upon your food like an animal. Your teeth glint, your incensors gleam, and soon you have consumed all that your hostess has offered you. What type of soup? Your hostess watches while you eat, and she giggles once you have finished. Did she eat her food too? Did you enjoy that? Oh. You catch your hostess' gaze, suddenly abashed. You are so hungry you have failed to account for her judgment. Now you have some food in your belly, though, and you have been suitably warmed. Your old self-consciousness is returning. Did you not make a fool out of yourself? You demur shyly, looking at your lap, fearful all the while of what your hostess might think of you. I think we have bigger problems going on, like maybe the fact that we're being chased. You do not want her to take against you. Fortunately for you, however, and for your fragile ego, your hostess is not the judgmental sort. She's not like the girls you grew up with. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's nice to see my food being appreciated so heartily. I know I'm not the best, but I've been practicing for a long while. I used to cook for my father all the time, you see. This remark catches your attention. Quizzically, you look at your hostess, your abashment over your animalistic eating habits suspended. What happened to her father? Probably the plague. Seems a grim thing to contemplate after having eaten, but didn't your hostess mention something about a plague? Yeah. Yes, your hostess says, her voice soft now and serious. That's right, there was a plague. There was a plague. Is it gone? And what are the villagers? What of her father? They're all gone now. Gone? Yes. You see, your hostess rearranges herself from her chair, one slender leg folded over the other. Then she begins her tale in earnest. My family has a history. We've lived here for centuries, by the church, so we can attend to the graveyard. Ah, so this abode is centuries old then. It would certainly explain the dirt. My father used to prepare bodies for burial back when he was alive. He built the coffins and he dug the graves and he lowered coffins into the dirt. I know it might sound like an awful job, but somebody's gotta do it. There's no sense averting our eyes from death, not when it happens to the best of us. It's a noble profession, one that's been handed down in our family for generations. My father's father was a gravedigger, and so was my father's father, and my father's 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 father. Digging graves is in our blood. It's who we are. My. That was a surprisingly pretty speech coming from a girl who lives in the countryside, a girl who is without much in the way of education. It is apparent just to listen to her and the way she slurs her syllables together that she's never had any illusion lessons. Not like you. Don't compare yourselves. I don't think I think she's just describing what the girl's like, not trying to insult her, but it's insulting. Sorry, quick water break. There is a determination, however, to her, and a pride in her genealogy which gives her a respectable aura. You could not help but be impressed. So you ask your hostess, does that make her one in a long line of gravediggers? I feel like still we should be telling her about being I feel like Curtis Connor, when he was watching that movie about the girl who got kidnapped, and he was like, I would be like, not girl, the boy who got kidnapped, and he was like, I would be like writing with my poop on the walls. Like, I would be just saying over and over, I've been kidnapped, I've been kidnapped, I've been kidnapped. Like, I get she's relaxing now, and there might be kind of a fantasy thing going on here, but like, I'd be like, I'm being chased, help me. Yes, your hostess, the gravedigger says. That's about right, though I was never supposed to be a gravedigger myself. It's not a woman's profession, that's what everybody says. My father didn't mind that, though. He taught me everything he knew and then some. Aw, that's a good dad right there. I might be a woman, but I've plenty of upper body strength. I can dig a grave just as well as my father could, without breaking a sweat. Strong woman, hello? It's the despair of my mother up in heaven, I'm sure. I did not mean to click those. I'm sure if she were still alive, she'd rather I focus on more feminine pursuits, like basket weaving or sewing to better attract a suitor. Ma'am, you've attracted me, don't you worry. Not that that would do much good now. There's nobody around who'd court me, not for miles and miles. I'll court you. What happened to her mother? Probably the plague. She died when I was very young, during childbirth. I was only 5 years old. This seems like the 1800s or something. Stuff like that happened a lot. Oh, well. You can relate to her, at least, upon this point. Your parents are not dead, at least as not as far as you were aware, but you have not seen them in an awfully long time. They sent you away as soon as you were old enough, and neither once bothered to check up on you. Aww. For many years, there have been no letters, nor any visits. You offer the gravedigger condolences. You do not know if they will help, but you feel like you cannot say nothing. That would seem heartless. The gravedigger, however, does not seem too upset by this turn of events, because she smiles, albeit somberly. It's alright. It was ages ago. I don't remember her too well, and I've never really had the luxury of sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I had too much work to do. Around the house, you ask? That too. I was the oldest child, so it was my job. After my mother died, to manage the sweeping and the cooking. Oh, and looking after all of my siblings too. You blink, intrigued, and glance about your hostess's humble lodgings. You do not see any siblings in the immediate vicinity. Girlie? Do you know what a plague is? Because I have bad news. She's like, wait, her father's dead, but what could have happened to her mother? Okay, so her whole family and whole village is dead, but where are her siblings? Girl, they're dead. I hate to tell you. It'd be crazy if she was like, I'll move to France. Where could they be? The gravedigger must have noticed your roving eyes. You are not exactly being subtle, because she shakes her head. I had siblings, 2 younger brothers. They're both gone now. Oh, you should have known. Yeah, obviously. You apologize to the gravedigger for your lack of tact, but she does not seem upset by this faux pas. Don't apologize. It's not your fault. My brothers weren't long for this world anyway. The youngest, he died when he was still a babe, and the oldest, he died before I reached double digits. Aww. I was upset about it at the time, of course, but I've come to terms with it. Life's a fleeting thing in this wicked old world. That's something you learn in this trade. Digging graves, I mean. I've dug graves for the elderly and the infirm, but I've also done graves for young babes still in their swaddling clothes. That's the nature of death. It comes for all of us in the end, no matter how old we are, no matter how much money we have, no matter how good or bad we've been. It's a great equalizer. Or so I've heard. Chill creeps down your spine as you listen to your hostess's speech. That's great. Can we please tell her that we're being chased? She's not wrong, but the inherent mortality of all humankind is not something you wish to contemplate. It is too disturbing. For the longest of times, my family was a small one. It was just my father and me, but that was fine. It was how I liked it. I was very happy, even if our lives weren't the best. I've never had any fancy clothes to wear, and we can't dine out on the finest of foods. In the grand scheme of things, we ain't anything that special, but I've always felt otherwise. I thought that I was blessed. We knew hardship, of course, and famine, but that's just the way life is around here. When food supplies were low, we always helped out one way or another. I had my father, but I also had the rest of the village. We all looked after one another, and things always worked out in the end. At least, they did. Until the plague happened. Yes, she had mentioned a plague. You had been wondering when she was going to return to that topic. You suppose that the plague is the reason that the village, as you traversed it, was so very empty? Also, I just realized the bodies are probably not there because she's digging graves, but I hope she's not touching the bodies too much because that's how the plague spreads. You'd suppose right. The plague tore through the village. I don't remember when. Feels like a while ago, but maybe it wasn't all that long after all. She probably doesn't have any sort of timekeeping. Dude, that's like... I've never thought of that, but that'd be terrifying. Like, think just like being in a village alone and not really having anywhere else to go and just having to live there alone. Feels like I've been on my own for centuries, but... Your hostess's eyes begin to cloud over. She looks as though she is entranced within her own memories. What could she be remembering? You have never seen a plague before, though you have heard of them in your history lessons. Your history professor was quite enthusiastic about the subject. That's a weird subject to be enthusiastic about. She talked about piles of dead bodies stacking up on the streets, and stacked up in wooden carts come to take them away, with no shortage of aplomb. She was a strange woman, your history professor. Yes, seems strange. The plague came on very suddenly. There was no warning. One day everyone was fine, and the next, they were all dead. It's with no small amount of anxiety that you eye the gravedigger. Then you ask worriedly, surely they could not have all died. Is that not an exaggeration? Bro, why would she exaggerate that? Oh, if only. I wish I was exaggerating, but it's the truth, honest to God. She has no reason to exaggerate. People in the village died, one after the other, just like that. Are there any other villages nearby? I saw what the plague does to people firsthand. My father was one of the first people who caught it. I think one of the bodies which came through that we buried must have had it. Aw, that makes sense. It's good you didn't catch it. Not that I know for certain. I'm just guessing. Still. My father didn't have an easy time of it. His skin turned all gray and clammy, and he complained of a horrible fever. There were night sweats and stomach cramps. And then there were the boils. What are the boils? The boils? Pustles. They were the size of an egg and they were full of pus. Ugh. When they burst, it stunk. Ugh. The whole house was full of it. The stink of death. The wise woman of the village came to see if she could be of any use, but it was no good. My father was too gone already. She took one look at him lying on his deathbed and she shook her head. She said she didn't want to get any closer. Oh, do you have like a doctor in your village? I can't say I blame her. It was a ghastly sight. I didn't appreciate it at the time, though. Felt like she was turning her back on us. I wished her ill. I remember that after she left. Till a few days passed and she fell sick too. Aww. Then I felt bad for cursing her. I couldn't help but worry if it was all my fault. It's silly, I know, but... The gravedigger closes her eyes. She seems to squeeze her lids together until her lashes melt like flecks of fallen snow. Her shoulders, which are very slender, are shaking. She looks as though she might, at any moment, fall apart. It wasn't long after that the rest of the village fell ill. They all have the same symptoms as my father. The clammy skin, and the fever, and the boils. The boils grew, then they burst, and then they died in screaming, stinking agony. I'm so sorry, girl. My father died too, only 3 days after he fell ill, but I think even that was 3 days too many. I didn't want my father to die, of course. I did everything I could to help him, but it was all pointless. None of my herbal salves had any impact. Oh, I don't think medicine exists yet. I couldn't make a blind bit of difference. All I did was stand about his bedside, telling him it'd be alright, until his eyes sank into his skull like 2 black stones and his mouth dried out. Oh my! During that last day, before he died, he might have been a corpse already. He didn't look at me. He didn't speak to me. He just lay in bed with his eyes closed, groaning. I'd never wished any ill on my father before, but during those moments, The gravedigger squeezes her hands, which are resting upon her black-clad lap, into fists. She trembles. Then, in a voice throbbing with awful emotion, she says, I wish he just died. That's fair, girlie. You didn't want him to be in pain. Well, based on her antidote, it does seem like she had overly long to wait. I wonder if she would consider that a silver lining. No, perhaps not. The gravedigger is still shaking. She will not cry, will she? You hope not. Awkwardly, you look at the gravedigger. You are not sure how to soothe her, but you know you must make some sort of effort, even if it's a token one. You shift upon your chair, which feels very cold and hard beneath your thighs. Then you say very softly that you are sorry. It's not much, but it is all you can think of saying. You had thought initially that your situation was comparable to that of the gravedigger, but now you can see that is not the case. Your suffering has far outstripped your own. Don't compare suffering! You can both be suffering separately. Not that suffering is a competition, of course. That's what I said, yeah. Your apology feels inadequate to your ears, largely because it is, but the gravedigger seems to not mind it. She's very big-hearted, that girl, to smile at you so, no matter how foolish you might be. Do you really deserve such kindness? Yes, you do. Oh, again with the apologies. It's alright, like I said. You didn't cause any of this. I'm not upset at you, I'm just recounting what happened is all. I do wonder, though, why I never fell sick myself. Thought I was gonna die, so I'd already prepared for the Reaper to come and take me away. But maybe he wasn't interested. Maybe he'd already satiated his appetite on all the others. That, or maybe he thought he'd have to leave me alive for practicality's sake. With my father gone, who else would tend to the dead? I was the only person left by the end of it all, so as I had to bury the people in the village. They're all resting peacefully now under the earth where the plague can't reach them. On the one hand, I'm happy for them. They were all able to escape from all their suffering. But I think about all the people I've lost, though. The gravedigger tenses. Then she sniffs. When I think about the kindly washerwoman who helped me scrub the mud and the dirt from my clothes, we were talking about a kindly washerwoman. Aha! So this village did have its fair share of washerwomen after all. It seemed your earlier insistence upon this particular point was not without its merit. And the handsome young farm hands who used to flirt with me, now you have a terrified girl to come flirt with you. How about that? My voice cracking. How about that? The priest who preached at the church, who told us wonderful tales of paradise, and the children who would skip stones on the lake and play hopscotch on the streets. I can't help but feel so lonely. Gravedigger's eyes begin to shine once she had finished her address with tears, but she does not let them fall. She's being very brave, much more so than you are. Anxiously, you extend a hand towards her, meaning to... what? Give her a hug? You do not know her well enough. Pat her head? That would be infantilizing. Squeeze her hand? Perhaps that could be misconstrued as a romantic overture, and that is the last thing you want. Why? I mean, I guess she just told us about, like, how her whole village and family died. We probably shouldn't flirt with her right now, but I don't think that'd be taken as flirting. I could be wrong. I do have the tism. Why is it... Sorry, I just looked and it's off. Okay, wait, let me... It's not letting you see part of the screen for some reason. Does this help? Okay, there we go. Now it's fully screened. You endured more than your fair share of teasing over being the L word. You sit there for a few moments, paralyzed by indecision, as the gravedigger poorly suppresses her sniffles. In the end, you let your arm drop back to your side. I get it. She's trying to comfort her, but she's afraid because of her bullying. That's fair. Although if I were in this situation, I may not know how to comfort people, but I will always try my best. You do not know what to do with it. You do know that you ought to say something, though, to show you heard her plight and that you care. You do not know what this something should be, however. What I've learned from people doing it with me and from me doing it with other people is that why am I like, whoa, okay, geez. Is that, like, being honest with people is often a good thing. So, like, if you don't really know if you don't really know, like, what to say, then, like, sometimes saying, like, I don't know how to express this, but you're heard and I understand, or saying, like, I don't have the proper words, but, like, I get what you mean, and I'm sorry you went through that. Sometimes that is a good thing to say. Like, one of my, like, what's the word? Like, one of my favorite moments with one of my friends was when they said, like, I was talking about my health issues, and it's a hard thing to respond to, because it's not like, what are you gonna say? Like, don't worry, it'll get better. No, it won't. It's chronic health issues. Or, like, it'll be okay. Nope. No. Huh? Or, like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, you could say I'm sorry, but, like, it's hard to come up with what to say. So he was just like, I don't have the words to express this, but I understand what you're going through, and I wish you didn't have to go through that. And that was perfect. That was exactly what I need. That's a lot better than just being like, okay. You do not know what this something should be, however. No words could ever console the gravedigger. They would never be enough. They can offer some balm, however, to the bereaved, and so after a... Oh, excuse me. Let me let a water break. And so, after a pause just long enough to be awkward, you offer your condolences. What else can you say? Oh, no, the gravedigger replies, wiping a few stray tears away with the back of her arm. It's alright. I've grown used to it, really. Being on my own, I mean, it ain't so bad, really. And I'm not alone now, at least. I've met you. You'll keep me company, won't you? Well, what can you say to that? You aren't callous enough to trample this poor girl's hopes, are you? You know full well yourself how awful that feels. You can do nothing but nod, a response which makes the girl smile more widely still. That's wonderful. I know you're just a traveler who's passing through, but I can offer you bread and board until you leave. Yay! This is exactly what we were hoping for. Well, not exactly what we were hoping for, but this counts for what we were hoping for, you know? We may not have a washerwoman like we were hoping for, but we have even better. Well, sorry, I keep clicking on the wrong tab. I have food enough and a spare bedroom. I can make it up for you right now. You must be tired after your long journey. Just give me a moment. The Gravedigger rises to her feet in a flurry of excitement, then retreats. You watch as she departs, a little too eager to please, and frowned. The girl's home is a small, humble one with a low ceiling and slanted walls. You could not imagine such a small dwelling possessing a spare bedroom. Spoiled brat, jeez. This girl's offering you a place to stay while you're literally running for your life, and you're like, this place is really tiny. This so-called spare bedroom is, in all likelihood, the room her father slept in before the plague carried him off. She said she had 2 younger siblings. You do not think that you would much like to spend the night in the room of a dead man, but what choice do you have? You have the choice to stop being a brat. You are tired, wretchedly so. Why is it all you can do to keep your eyes open? Also, he died forever ago. Like, I may not know how germs work, but, like, you're fine. While you were running through the forest, desperate to escape your pursuer, you had no thoughts in mind beyond finding some safe sanctuary in which you could recuperate. Yeah, why haven't you mentioned your pursuer? Now that you have found such sanctuary, it would be unreasonable to find faults with it. For real. You had to learn to be more thankful for what you have. There are many, many people in the world with less. It is suspicious that she didn't get sick, though. You rise and follow the gravedigger once she has finished her preparations to her so-called spare bedroom, which is every bit as cramped as you feared it would be. Oh, it's cramped! Shut up! At least there is a bed, which comes as something of a relief. The rest of these lodgings are so humble that you were half expecting a straw pallet. As tired as you might be, you cannot lie to yourself. You have no desire to sleep among the hay like an animal. Girl, shut up. The sheets of the bed are clean, too, a fact you discern with a cursory glance. So you will not be expected to sleep upon the sweat-soaked lining of a plague-ridden man after all. This really is your lucky day. I got you this, too, the gravedigger says, somewhat shyly, as she hands you a folded gown to sleep in. I thought it might come in handy. Your own clothes are, a little shabby. Yeah, she tore her skirt. She can say that again. Your skirt is covered in mud, and the hem is torn and red. This nightgown is one of my old ones, so it suffered a bit of wear and tear, but I hope it'll fit alright. If it's clean as nothing else. Accept the nightgown from your benefactress with words of thanks. You want to sound appropriately appreciative, but you cannot mask your fatigue. Weariness overcomes you, and you yawn, a fact that the gravedigger does not fail to notice. Oh, begging your pardon, I don't want to keep you. I'll be making myself scarce. If you need anything, though, don't hesitate to ask. I'd be happy to help. Tell her about your pursuer. The pursuer could come after her. The gravedigger bows her head to you like a drudge, then hurries off, closing the door behind her with a thud. Tired though you are, you soon find that you rather miss your hostess' company. In the face of her good-natured smiles, you could almost forget all the hardships you have hitherto endured. In her absence, however, your lodgings feel almost unbearably cold and inhospitable. You suppress a shudder, then unclothe yourself. You work as quickly as you are able, but your fingers are cold and they fumble with the buttons of your blouse. It takes you more time than you would like to complete this endeavor, but you soon have your shirt and your skirt dispensed with. You are too tired to fold them neatly, so you do not bother to fold them at all. Instead, you cast them carelessly upon the floor, as defiant as a sulky child, then pull on your new nightgown. Your hostess's earlier warnings were apt enough. It is quite worn, but it fits well enough. It is more comfortable, at least, than your old uniform. You have endured worse. Newly dressed and ready for bed, you loosen your hair from your braids and settle down among the sheets. It is with a sigh you extinguish the weakly flickering candlelight which burns on your bedside, and with another sigh that you lay your head down upon your pillow. Though physically exhausted, you have to wonder whether you will be able to sleep at all. You can recall your previous dash through the forest in such vivid detail your heart is still pounding. That fear has yet to leave you. Yeah, that's very fair. Perhaps it'll never leave you. Your terror was such, it almost feels as though it has suffused itself into your bones, into your very being. But your exhaustion is greater than your worldly anxieties, and soon it claims you. Your eyelids fall shut, and your breathing, inevitably, begins to even out. It is not long until you are spiraling through a dark, deep abyss, lost in Morpheus's kingdom. But your sleep, despite your weird state, is not as resortative as you had hoped. Your imagination has always been over. Oh, I moved Pokemon Bot. Okay, your imagination has always been overactive. Even at the conservatoire, you are frequently beset by dreams of the most vivid nature. The dreams that you have this night, lying beneath unfamiliar sheets upon an unfamiliar bed, are no less intense than usual. In your dreams, you're back at the conservatoire, the place where this adventure of yours began. You're wearing the crisp white blouse you once discarded and your gray, unremarkable skirt. Your hair is tied in braids and your eyes are downturned, forever focused upon your feet. It's so sad that her parents would discard her like that. At that point, why have a child? You tried not to look at your classmates, and you thought yourself fortunate they did not look at you in return. You did not want anybody to notice you. Until that awful winter, that is, where everybody stopped paying attention to you for good. Nobody tried to trip you when you walked past them in the hallways. Nobody, in fact, so much as glanced at you. All of a sudden, there were no malicious whispers, no wicked laughter, no pulled hair, and no thrown objects. You were giddy with relief at first over this new means of tormenting you that your classmates have devised. But this little game, that of complete and utter disregard, continued and on and on and on as the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer. As the time passed, you began to fret as to the state of your own corporeality. Did anybody still see you? Oh, that's terrible. Did you even exist at all? That's terrible. I understand that feeling. Then, at long last, you found it, quite by accident, the source of all your woes. One of the girls had erected it in the forest, through which you were sometimes bidden to jog for PE class, beneath the shade cast by an old oak tree. It was a makeshift tomb. Are we dead? It was a makeshift tombstone, a small meager monument made of the stone, upon which one of your classmates had honed a name. Your name. You knew at once as you stood there, standing beneath the shade of the ancient tree, that this was the reason behind your classmates' silence. Was it like a prank, or are we actually dead? This is why they had, for many months, been ignoring you so assiduously. They had buried you. In their hearts you had already died. Your eerie dreams notwithstanding, you sleep more comfortably than you had anticipated. When you awake the following morning to the sweet chirping of birdsong, you feel well rested, albeit woozy. Your head is aching. There's nothing, however, that a cup of hot tea cannot fix. You stumble into the kitchen in your nightclothes, your hair loose and your feet bare, and the gravedigger turns to you. So is it like they buried you metaphorically, or are we dead? She looks at your face, which is pasty, and your under eyes, which are dark, and exclaims, in the manners of one accustomed to solving problems, not complaining about them, "Oh, you look awful. I think you need something warm to drink. Maybe you need something to eat, too? Let me get started on breakfast." She seems so happy to have someone with her. That's sweet. That is exactly what she does. She gets started on breakfast, which proves to be quite the simple affair. Nothing like the luxurious food you were accustomed to in your past life. Are we actually dead? The bread is hard enough to break your teeth on, and the cheese is a bit too strong. It's food all the same, though, and you do not complain. Your stomach was beginning to grumble. The tea is inoffensive, at least, and you drink gratefully. I wonder if her and I are both actually dead. You thank the gravedigger girl for her hospitality, and she smiles at you in return. A sunny smile, like a field of blooming bellflowers. "It's no problem. Don't hesitate to ask me if you need anything else," she says, words which come to symbolize your relationship. You stay with the gravedigger for many, many more days, and limited though her means might be, she always tries to help you. The gravedigger sets your chores about the house to keep you occupied, a fact which you are grateful. You need to do something to keep your mind off your frantic flight through the forest. You do almost forget about it now during the day. During the night, however, it returns to you. The sound of your feet or against the foliage and the swirling fog. It's weird to me where you don't seem afraid of the girl finding us here. When you sleep, you are assailed by nightmares. Sometimes you awake after midnight, the sheets twisted around your body and your mouth gaping open in a paroxysm of terror. Though you try to tell yourself otherwise, you are still afraid. That's fair. I don't know if we fully escaped her. Being with the gravedigger makes you feel less so, though, particularly when you're sweeping the floor, keeping an eye on the bread loaves so they do not burn. You attend to most of the domestic chores, while the gravedigger concerns herself with the work she knows best, that is, digging graves. How long can the plague stay on the bodies? Because I would think that's dangerous. How long can plague stay on dead bodies? Beyond 24 hours. Yeah, so she should be okay. I mean, unless someone died recently, but it doesn't seem like it. Oops, wrong page. Her dog persistence when it comes to this pursuit intrigues you, so much so that you can't help but posit a question to her on one particular morning when the sky is festive with clouds. We're becoming roommates, guys. And they were roommates. Why, you ask her, perhaps a touch insensitively, do you continue to dig graves? There's nobody, after all, left to dig them for. You've always been practical, and you cannot see the point in it. What's the point in it? The gravedigger ponders while holding her precious shovel to her chest. It's really comforting to her. Fortunately, she does not seem upset by your question, despite its bluntness. You should count yourself lucky her temperament is so very placid. I don't suppose there is really any point to it, really, the gravedigger eventually says with a small smile. I know it doesn't have a practical purpose, but, well, it's comforting. Digging graves is what my father did. He showed me how to do it so I could continue his legacy. My father wanted to keep our family tradition going, and I suppose I want to do the same. That's all there is to it, really. That's all, is it? You think you can understand that? Though your companion's actions might appear to be illogical, there is a kernel of reason nestled amongst them. She does not dig graves out of any sense of purpose. She does it, instead, out of sentiment. That's cute. Besides, I have to do something to keep myself busy, don't I? If I spent all my days idling all on my own, I think I'd go mad. Where are we getting bread from? Like, shouldn't we have, like, a farm or something? The gravedigger laughs at this, as though the prospect of her own madness is amusing. Her laugh, despite her slender stature, is not particularly delicate. It reminds you, perhaps unkindly, of the braying of a horse. Yeah, that's not very nice. You are ashamed of thinking such a thing, though, and your face flushes with the guilt of it. Good. We cannot all be well-bred young ladies, you know. Shut up! You're a well-bred young lady. That's not going to be very useful in many areas. Still, the laughter of the gravedigger, as it echoes through the gray, gloomy sky, is strangely desperate. It sounds forced. Her smile, too, is a touch unnatural, the rictus grin of a corpse. Fine, despite your attempts to return the laughter with a polite giggle, that you cannot. You cannot help but pity her. Oh. Pity yourself, you're both in a bad situation. You retreat indoors briefly after your talk with the gravedigger, then set about some simple chores. Smart. I wonder if the girl chasing us is like the Grim Reaper or something like that. Gravedigger trusts you well enough to manage sweeping the floor, a task which does not take particularly long, and the preparing of meals, a task which takes slightly longer. It's not until much later, however, once the sun has already sunk beneath the horizon and the moon is high in the sky, that the gravedigger returns from the outdoors. She is windswept after many hours spent exposed to the elements, and there is dirt caked beneath her fingernails. And how do we take a bath? The gravedigger removes her cloak, which she hangs by the door, then looks to the pot suspended over the fire, a fire which you stoked with your own fair hands. The scent of cooking food, that of garlic and onions, fills the air, suffusing the interior of the kitchen in a honey aroma which makes your stomach rumble. Where are we getting these materials? Taking stock of this, the gravedigger smiles at you, a toothy smile which, despite her status as a lowly peasant, is surprisingly clean and bright and white. Can we stop calling her a lowly peasant? Like, who cares? Thank you so much, dear one. Dear one? We are so roommates, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Excuse me. There's nothing like returning home after a hard day's work to find dinner already prepared. Now, let me give it a test. The gravedigger dips a spoon into the soup, then brings it to her lips. She blows upon it. Then she places the spoon into her mouth, the wooden utensil clacking against her teeth. You observe this with a touch of anxiety. Will she like the foods which you have prepared for her? I've cooked for her before in the past, and she was always very complimentary of your efforts. Cooking is not your forte, however. You never had to concern yourself with it really, growing up in relative comfort as you did. You think that you enjoy this rural, rustic mode of existence more than you did any of the privileges of your past life. I'm glad. At least now, with the gravedigger, you have a steadfast friend, a staunch ally. When you are with her, you are not alone, and that is worth its weight in gold. The gravedigger exclaims, after drawing the spoon, from her lips. Her smile, a bright, guileless one. Guileless? It's delicious. Your face flushes at this compliment. You are unaccustomed to receiving them, and it makes you feel good. Shyly, you ask the gravedigger if she truly means that, a query which makes the gravedigger smile. Of course I mean it. You've become quite good at cooking, really. That is a relief. You were not very good at all this cooking malarkey in the beginning. You did not know how to handle a knife, nor how to peel a vegetable, and you cut yourself more than once. You bled into the soup on several occasions, but never once did you throw the sullied soup out. The gravedigger lives a humble existence, and she cannot afford to waste her precious ingredients. Yeah, because where are we getting these? Your soups during your stay have all been seasoned with the slightest hint of iron. Today's soup, however, is a marked step above all the rest. You did not cut yourself with a knife even once. Yippee! Maybe your companion's compliments are not empty fluff. Maybe you really are improving. The soup should be ready to serve. I have some bread, too, that we can eat it with. But, I should brew the tea, too. Let me. Ah, yes, the tea. You knew that you were forgetting something. You were so focused on the soup, it must have slipped your mind. Your face flushes yes again at this oversight, and shyly you offer to correct it. The gravedigger, however, waves your request aside. No, it's all right. You made the dinner, so I'll brew the tea. It's only fair, and it won't take all that long. Would you mind serving up the soup while I'm busy? Of course you would not mind. You do enjoy making yourself useful. For a lady, you are awfully domestic. You work alongside the gravedigger to finish your nightly meal, and together you serve it. Soup and bread, alongside 2 cups of piping hot tea, prepared by your hostess' own 2 hands. You sit together at the table, then partake in the simple fare after saying grace. The soup is really quite good, despite it being made from only the most commonplace of ingredients. There's a bit of kick to it, and it warms you from the inside out. The tea, meanwhile, is very soothing, so much so it makes you feel rather sleepy. You would like to sit with the gravedigger for a little while longer and tell stories, as you have sometimes in the past. That or play cards. You should tell her that you're being actively chased. The nights are long, and there's no better way to pass the time than spending it with her. Oh, are they? Are they? Are they? Why do I look angry? Are they? You know? Games of old maid, alas, will have to wait. You're too tired for it. You do not know what has happened, but after consuming your victuals, you feel utterly fatigued. You explain your predicament to the gravedigger between your yawns, and she nods in response. That's alright. You don't need to stay up with me. Unless you ain't up to it. You should head off to bed and rest that pretty head of yours. She's flirting with us. I do not think you are particularly pretty, but you presume that the gravedigger is just regurgitating a phrase to you. She does not truly mean it. No, she means it. She loves you. How could she? She is far prettier than you are. Shut up. You thank the gravedigger for her understanding, then rise from the table. You retreat to the spare bedroom on trembling legs and change out of your clothes. You've only just slid into your nightgown when you hear the rapping of knuckles upon your door, light and unobstructive. This rapping could of course belong to but one person, the gravedigger. It is the gravedigger come to check up on you. I'm sorry, the gravedigger says, her voice soft, but you rushed to your room so soon after eating, I couldn't help but worry about you. Would you mind as I took a look at you? I just want to see if you're alright. Yeah, that's fine. Take as many looks at me as you want, girl. The gravedigger is trying to keep her voice steady, but you can hear it wavering regardless. She really does sound concerned, so much so she could very well be on the brink of tears. Oh, she doesn't want to lose us. You do not want her to cry for you. You would feel horribly guilty if you upset her, even inadvertently, given all that she has done for you. You bid the gravedigger enter into your room, therefore, without further delay, an investigation she hastens to take. The door swings inwardly with a creak, and there your hostess stands, still attired in black. Her clothes was a stark contrast to your pure white, well, off-white nightgown. The gravedigger looks at you, seated in bed with your hair freed from your usual braid, and exhales. Is that relief, you wonder, playing about her face? But why? What was she expecting to see exactly before entering her bedchamber? I think it's probably the trauma for her of, like, her father, especially because we're sleeping in his bed. Thank you for letting me in, Gravedigger says, toying with her fingers. How do you feel? Not too terrible, you reassure her. There are no particular problems with her health. You just feel tired. Are you sure you're not sick? Your face does look a bit pale. That would be nothing out of the norm. You are always pale. True. Now, is there anything I can do for you? Would you like something warm to drink? Or maybe a hot brick to place in your bed? It should keep you warm. A hot brick? I've never heard of that. You appreciate your hostess' thoughtfulness, but you reassure her that this won't be necessary. It will be fine. I hope so. I thought that about my father too, before he... I knew it. It's the trauma from, like, losing her dad. The gravedigger begins, but her voice soon trails off. She does not finish that thought. She does not need to. You know now what she was thinking of before she entered her bedroom. Cold, clammy skin, sweating brow, rank, oozing pustules. You think upon these symptoms, which are eerily similar to those recounted during the Great Plague which once beset your own country, and you shudder. If you don't want anything, then I'll be on my way, the gravedigger says. But before that, we should cuddle. Before that? This was just a fancy on my part, but I was wondering, would you mind if I brushed your hair for a little while? The dream. Why can't I be running in a forest and then happen upon a cottage where I live with my wife and she brushes my hair? Your hair? That's right. It's such a pretty shade of red is all. I just thought I love, like, brushing people's hair as a sign of affection. It's so cute to me. Well, it's just a fancy, really. You don't have to let me, not if you don't want to, but I thought it might help you relax if you're feeling under the weather. I heard it's supposed to be soothing. That is what the gravedigger says, but you have the distinct feeling that she is the one looking for solace here. Aww. She's not quite so selfless, perhaps, as she would like you to think. She has been so very good to you and has done so very much for you that you do not want to begrudge her this self-small indulgence. You rather thinks that she deserves it. I love brushing people's hair. My hair hurts so bad to brush through. Like, straight hair is so lovely to brush through. Not that curly hair isn't lovely to brush through, but, like, at least for mine, it's like, ow, stop, that hurts. It's not fun. But, like, with the straight hair, it might just be like, oh, don't pull my hair. But other than that, I can brush through it, you know? Would you guys let me brush your hair? I might not know what I'm doing, but I'd figure it out. Your hostess's face lights up immediately, in a manner which makes you blush. Oh, thank you. It'd be my honor. Now, let me fetch my brush. The gravedigger retreats from your room in a hurry, but returns soon thereafter, holding in her right hand the promised brush. This artifact acquired, the gravedigger then settles herself on her bed, by your side. She looks at your hair for a few moments, her expression's pensive. Then she announces that she will begin. The gravedigger leans in. The wooden frame of the bed creaks under her weight, a creak which melds with the sighing of the breeze outdoors. You can feel the bristles of the brush running through your hair. It is soothing enough, so much so it makes you shiver. This is such the dream. I want this. The sensation is a pleasant one, and somewhat nostalgic. Did your mother do this for you, you wonder, when you were a little girl? If she did, it must have been when you were a very little girl. You've not seen your mother in quite some time, not after you enrolled at the conservatoire. Oh, you have such lovely hair, dear one. Her calling us dear one is so cute. It's soft, just like silk. Not at all like mine. Mine is so coarse. This gentle voice draws you out of your vague, half-formed reminiscence. It sounds as though the gravedigger is lost in nostalgia of her own, because her voice, when next she speaks, is dreamy. I think my mother used to brush my hair like this for me, back when she were still alive. That must have been a long time ago, though. It's funny, you think, as the bristles of the brush continue to slide through your tresses, that you and the gravedigger should both be reminiscing in tandem about your respective mothers. Perhaps there's something maternal in the act of brushing one's hair, which is wont to summoning forth such images. Yeah, that makes sense. It is a very maternal action. I would not know, personally. Alright, thank you so much for the raid. Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much. Hi, Amari. I hope you had an amazing stream. Welcome everyone. No, please, not my shoes. Anything but that. We're playing a horror game, so warning for horror stuff. I don't think it has, like, gore or anything like that. Warning for lesbians. Wow, scary. So far we're just kind of falling in love with a girl. I sure did. No, please. How's your stream? It's going very good. How was your stream? I hope everything went well. Where did my mouse go? We were running in the forest from a girl, we don't know why, running for our lives, and then we came upon a town, and everyone was dead, and now we live with this girl who's a gravedigger, and now we're kiss falling in love. I still don't know what happened to the girl who was chasing us, but that's fine. It was good stream, played some Genshin. Oh, that's fun. Oh yeah, let me give you a shout out. Please go check out Amari, she's the best. Thank you so much, you've made my day. And let's hope I spelled that right. Yeah! Yay! Oh, she's brushing our hair right now. I cannot remember my own mother at all. I don't think I liked having my hair brushed very much, the gravedigger continues, her breath warm against the exposed nape of your neck. No, you! My mother used to complain that I squirmed too much. I can remember that. Getting her hair brushed is uncomfortable. It's the least I could do. You're so sweet! She always told me to sit still, though it wasn't my fault I squirmed. She used too much force. When you have thick hair, it's impossible not to squirm. Now this is curious. Sounds as though the reminiscences of the gravedigger are not particularly fond after all. Did she not get along well with her mother? I can't rightly say that, the gravedigger replies in a somber sort of voice. I was young, like I said, when she died. I really don't remember her too well. I'm still confused because, like, not once have we been like, hey, I'm being chased. Someone is coming after me. I need help. We're just kind of living the life with her, and I'm like, why? But I don't think she ever had much time for me. She was too busy with all the cooking and the cleaning. I'm evil. No, you're nice. You can be both, nice and evil. Oh, and looking after my baby brothers. But she had time enough, despite that, to brush your hair? She did what she felt like she had to make me look presentable. That makes sense. 1800s are weird. Not that it really worked. I wasn't like the other girls. I'm not like the other girls. I'm quirky. You see, who like to sit indoors with their mothers and sew. I always loved the outdoors. My father said I inherited that from him. Well, that's cute. Ruefully, the gravedigger smiled, not that you can see it with your back facing her. My mother said I wasn't very, well, maidenly. She didn't like that I always trapezed around outside after my father, watching as he dug graves. Well, you know what? Your mother was not that, what's the word? I mean, it's very much something of the time, but, like, do what you want. If that's what helps you have fun, then do what you want. She said it wasn't appropriate, like I was some sort of a princess wearing a fine dress. Yeah, that's dumb. The gravedigger snorts. I used to get a bit muddy, yes, and maybe I did get burrs in my clothes and knots in my hair, but it shouldn't have mattered. Exactly. It's not like I ever had any hopes of marrying a prince, no matter what my mother said. Maybe, instead, hear me out, you should marry a princess. We're not a princess, but we could be. You never know that. But still, she hoped. She had a lot of hopes. My mother, high hopes. Think she might have resented my father, maybe, for working such a menial job. Our profession is an honest one, but it's never made much money. At first I was gonna say, like, oh, I understand with my family, but I don't understand that part, but I understand the part before. Like, often, in, like, poorer families, it's a big thing to, like, present yourself well. I know, like, from, like, my family in the past. Not my family, but, like, my grandma. I think my mother was hoping for fine jewels and dresses, and, well, that's her fault. She chose to marry a gravedigger. Oh, I don't know. She always had idea. Her head was full of fairy tales. It was a shame, I suppose, that her reality didn't match up to what she wanted. I didn't match up to what she wanted. Well, that's her fault. Like, you know, it's fair to have some expectations for your child, but your expectations for them shouldn't change who they are, what they want to do. Bitterness in your friend. The bitterness in your friend's voice is unmistakable, so much so you want to console her. What would you say to her, though? You never met your companion's mother. You never will, either. Her cold, inert body has been lying in the graveyard, buried beneath a tombstone, for over a decade. You have no way of ascertaining whether your companion's mother truly cared for her. You do have intelligence enough, however, to understand that poorly thought-out condolences can cause out more harm than good. You would not like it if people tried to reassure you that of course your father loved you, really. Yeah, sometimes people try to be nice, but instead invalidate. Like, you ever, like, for example, you'll be like, I'm very mad at this person, and, like, someone responds, like, well, that person loves you, you know? And you're like, okay, well, I'm mad at them right now. I know that. But, like, or, like, even more so, it's like, well, how do you know that? You're not a part of the situation. As he loved you, then why did he send you away from home? Why did he never send you any letters? You know he was worried about his finances, but that seems a poor excuse to pretend that his only daughter did not exist. As for your own mother, meanwhile, she was nice, at least you think she was, but she was woefully ineffectual. Though she was, nominally, an adult, she always cleaved before your father's judgment. Aw. You think that she was afraid of him. That's not good. You do not try to tell the gravedigger, therefore, that her mother loved her, that she must have done, else she would not have given birth to her. Instead, you sit there, letting the brush run through your hair, and you say quietly that you understand. That's a good response. Sometimes you feel like a disappointment yourself. Aww. Well, the gravedigger says, after a pause, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I guess it happens to all of us. You guess so. Parents are only people, after all. While one would hope one's parents would be kind and attentive, they too can fall victim to caprices of their own. That's true. This is not where I expected this game to go, but that's true. What happened to the girl chasing us? Just because one has brought a child into this world, it does not mean that one will be able to take care of it properly. True. And also, like, someone can love you while still not showing you proper love, and it doesn't mean what they're doing is okay. Not all parents are responsible, just as not all people are responsible. It is a painful subject. This seems actually good. Yeah! I just thought we were getting spooked, but we're getting deep. Oh well, it's alright if my mother never liked me, or even if she never loved me. I know my father did, and that's all that matters. Aw, that's good. He was always there for me, no matter what. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. Also, look at where it got her. Your father outlived your mother by like 10 years. What a loser. Not your father, I mean your mother. She winces. At least until he wasn't. And now I'm here for you. He died, and I didn't do a thing to help. You tried your best. He had the plague. What were you supposed to do? Your companion's shoulders are beginning to shake. You still cannot see her, but you can feel her body convulsing. You can sense her loneliness rolling off her in waves. It is all-consuming like the waters of a deep, dark ocean. Grief anew pierces your heart, not on your behalf, but for the sake of your benefactress. She does not deserve to suffer so much. This you have no qualms with telling her. You turn to face her and pluck the brush which has been hovering in the air, inert, from her fingers. Then you let her know that her father's death was not her fault. Good, I'm glad. What could she have done? She could not have cured his illness. I know, but I can't help but think, what if? I keep racking my head over and over, trying to come up with something. But I can't think of anything, and even if I could, it's too late. He's already dead. He's dead and buried. I buried him, and now I'm all alone. It's okay, I'm right here. And we have the companion of whoever's chasing after me. She might have been alone, you tell the gravedigger, but she isn't now. Not anymore. How can she be when you are there? I know that. I know, and I'm grateful, but I don't know if I deserve it. It's also still fair to feel lonely if someone's there for you. You know, like, I'm glad we're here for you, but, like, having friends does not fix your father's death, you know? It's fair to be upset about that. Why would she not deserve your company? You do not understand. Because I couldn't do nothing for nobody. You literally saved my life. Dee, thank you so much for the resub. She's times twice. It's such a happy day. Okay, let me stimulate her to calm down. Thank you so much, Dee. You're the best. Also, hi, welcome. Glad to have you. Okay, brain English. My father always looked out for me when I was a little girl, but when he needed me the most, I failed him. You were there for him as much as you could be. What were you supposed to do? Find a cure for the plague? I failed everyone. All of the villagers, all of my friends, all died. What would I do if the same thing happened to you? I don't think I could bear it. I don't want you getting sick too, not when I care about you so much. Well, good news, girlie. I would guess that the plague would have killed itself off by now, because if everyone's dead who had it, then, like, how would we get it again, you know? We're not in contact with anyone else. We're quarantined in our own way, so we're fine. I thought I'd gotten used to being on my own, but now that you're here, it's making me worry all over again. I've been worrying so much I can't sleep from it. I'm scared. Uh-oh, sad game. I did not know it would be a sad game, but sad game, yeah. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. Then she collapses in on herself. Aww! She leans forward, her arms wound about her middle, as if to steady herself, and she cries. She cries and she cries and she cries. Hug her! For a few moments you look at the gravedigger, unsure of what to do. Her pale face, streaked with silvery tears, seems to flicker in the candlelight. Her shoulders... Sad game is fun game, true. I thought it was going to be a horror game, because we were being chased, but I actually prefer this a lot more. Her shoulders, which seem too slender to bear the accumulative weight of all the sorrows she endured, are shaking. Your fatigue continues to cling to you, as insistent as the fog which rolls among the tombstones in the graveyard at night. You are not so very tired, however. You cannot offer your hostess some comfort. You do not know what you can say to console her. You feel too wary to think of pretty sophisms, but there is something you can think of. You would not typically so bold a course, but you are tired enough, for once, to throw caution to the wind. That and the tears of the gravedigger are awfully arresting. Yeah! We did it! Let's go! You open your arms, and before the gravedigger can pass comment, you pull her to her chest. For context, the girl that we are, got bullied for being gay and being overly affectionate towards girls. So this is a big moment because she's actually, like, showing affection and not afraid. So proud of you, girlie. Oh. A soft exclamation escapes the lips of the gravedigger, quieter than the sound of wintry snow as it brushes the ground, and this is the first time we're seeing us. Then there's nothing. The gravedigger is stiff in your arms for a few moments, like the corpses she and her father used to seal away inside their wooden coffins. She is all wide eyes and awkward, pointed elbows, tears coursing down her pale cheeks. You worry briefly as you hold her that you have perhaps made a mistake. The art is pretty nice, I know, right? Were your attempts at consoling her too clumsy? You would not know. You've never been in a situation like this before. You have never consoled any friends before, because you've never had any friends to console. It is not so now, however. Yeah, it'd be hard. You are as far away from your old life as it is possible to be. And the and the gravedigger does not curse you for your impudence. Neither does she try to squirm away from you. Instead, she sits there, still as a statue, cradled in your arms. Oh, I'm very sorry to show you something so embarrassing. It's just, I get so lonely sometimes. Alright, Ryan, I'm gonna eat and then rest. Awesome stream the rest of your day. Thank you! Okay, good luck. Enjoy eating and enjoy your rest. Make sure you get plenty of rest. And thank you for stopping by and reading. Until at long last, with a breathy sob, she lets the full weight of her body fall against you. You run your hands against your sobbing companion's shoulders or blades and her back, and gently you soothe her. You tell her that she does not need to apologize. There's no shame in crying. Thank yous, of course. You hug her for many, many minutes while she sobs against your chest, wetting the front of your nightgown. No further words pass between you that night, but they do not need to. Words are irrelevant in a moment as tender as this, shared between two souls who have come to understand one another through mutual loneliness. You slide beneath your sheets, you still feel exhausted, and the gravedigger joins you in without asking for permission. We're finally cuddling. Oh my goodness. Quick water break. Okay. It would be an unnecessary piece of politeness, really, given your acceptance is all but assured. You have already accepted the gravedigger, after all. Every single inch of her. Oh! You have accepted her hospitality. You've accepted her food. Now you're accepting her company. You arrange yourself beneath the sheets to draw her body to yours. The gravedigger has not yet changed into her nightwear. Her clothes will be horribly rumpled when she awakes come the following morning, her head resting against your chest. But tomorrow has ceased to matter. It no longer exists. There's no concept of time between the two of you, no thought of the day which will dawn once this night inevitably ends. Instead, there's only the warmth shared between you and the wetness on her cheeks of the gravedigger. There is the sound, irregular now and less intense than before, of your companion's muted, muffled sobs. There is the gentle, tender moment snatched in the midst of a deep, dark night which can never be replaced. Aww! Her eyelids feel heavy, as though weighted down with stones. They droop inexorably downwards, pulling you, like a drowning maiden, into the dark, impenetrable abyss of slumber. You yawn. Then you fall asleep, cozied up beside the gravedigger like two cats in a basket. You sleep and you sleep and you sleep, more deeply than you have allowed yourself in quite some time. But when you awake, you find that you are no longer in the bed upon which you slept in, shrouded by sheets. Uh-oh. The gravedigger, too, is nowhere to be seen. Instead, you are quite alone, lying by yourself in the dark. Did we actually get buried alive? Has this all been our imagination? You blink, but your surroundings do not become any clearer. Is it the middle of the night? Perhaps you were roused from your slumber by the desire to relieve yourself, or else to slake your thirst. Your sleep has been awfully disordered as of late, and the smallest of noises has been enough to disturb you. That does not sound quite right, though. You sleep well, of that you are certain. Your body feels invigorated, as though it has slumbered for hours and hours. How many hours? You do not know. You do not know much of anything. You can feel a strange pitching sensation around your chest, however, and around your arms. It appears as though somebody, but who else could have it been save the gravedigger, changed your attire while you were sleeping? Oh, maybe actually this is sweet. Okay, I thought we were dying. Yay! That is a startling thought. The darkness which entombs you is even more so. The darkness which surrounds you is unsettlingly complete. It is so thick that you can't penetrate it. Your newfound woes do not stop, however, at this deep, unnatural darkness. It is cold, too, and you are lying upon something hard, some sort of stone slab. What is going on? You reach out, but your movements are soon stymied. There's something heavy lying atop of you, something that's limiting your movements. You were anxious before, upon awakening, but at this discovery you feel downright aggrieved. A sharp prong of panic pierces you, but you try to suppress it. Hysterics will get you nowhere. In most cases, they only tend to make bad situations worse. You ought to know that already. You swallow your mouth in dread as best you can, though it's coming on thick and fast, and try to squirm. You move your arms outward, but they do not get very far. There's a wall above you, and walls on either side of you. Walls do not budge no matter how hard you push. So wait, did she put us in a grave? Or earlier we had mentioned that our classmates had started ignoring us, and then there was a tomb of us, and we said they buried us in their mind, but I can't tell if it actually happened. Not, I must add, that you can push particularly hard, your anxious state notwithstanding. You have never had much in the way of upper body strength, nor lower body strength. You do not have much in the way of strength at all. You feel quite helpless as you lie there, out of breath from your meager exertions, unsure of what you should do. You can hardly see a foot in front of your face. You do not know where you are, nor why, but a terrible premonition is beginning to bear down upon you, one which initially you tried to discard. You did not want to accept it as a possibility, but where else could the truth lie? You are lying in a box hemmed by walls which offer only a scant few inches for you to stretch in any direction. Where else could you be but a coffin? The moment you allow yourself to ponder this awful reality is the moment you hear it, the irregular sound of drumming. It is as though somebody, though they must be a very large somebody, is tapping their fingers upon the lid of your coffin. That, or it is raining. It's not the fingers of a giantess, though, which is disturbing you, nor is it falling rain. It's dirt. Is she burying us? The sound continues on and on, as though it is drilling its way inside your skull. It is relentless. It is merciless. Like the ticking of a great celestial clock, it cannot be stopped. Let's hope this is the girl chasing us and not our wife. Your time is almost running out. But you knew that already, didn't you, when you were running through the forest? You ought to have known, silly thing, that you could not outpace your destiny for forever. Sooner or later, it would catch up with you. You are stubborn, though, and you do not want to accept this. Not content to simply lie there, you cry out. You cry not for your parents, whom you hardly knew, nor for your school friends, for you never had any. Instead, you cry out for your new companion, the girl with whom you have been living and with whom you shared one precious, cherished moment. You cry out for the gravedigger. Surely this is some manner of mistake. When she realizes that you are, in fact, entombed in one of the coffins she's currently filling, for who else could be moving the dirt above you, she will cease her operations at once. Is she burying us alive? She will pull you out of the darkness, back into the world of living, and she will hold you close. She will embrace you. She cannot mean to cause you any harm, not when she was so good to you and so kind. Especially, we comforted her. Why would she be... Huh? Why would she bury you? You cry to her so loudly you fear your vocal cords might tear, all while banging against the roof of your compact prison. You cry desperately, helplessly, and to your relief, your cries do not fall upon deaf ears. The sound of the falling soil stops, albeit briefly. Then you hear a voice. The voice is very faint, given it's being filtered through your coffin's sturdy lid, but you recognize it. So, you're awake then, are you, dear one? The gravedigger says. She sighs. Then she says in a professorial voice now, Now that is a pickle. I was hoping you'd be asleep a couple hours more, so the last time we spoke could have been on better terms. If you keep screaming like that, I'm going to feel bad. You should feel bad! You're murdering me! Your companion's words, though distant, are unmistakable. You're so tense you attune to every single syllable, and each of them make you gasp. Was this not a mistake, then? Does she truly mean to bury you alive? You posit this question to the gravedigger as best you can, trying to keep the tremors from your voice as you do. Perhaps you think, in your optimism, that if you do let her know how afraid you are, she will reward you for your bravery and let you go. This is what you are hoping, though it is in vain. That's right, you really do catch on quick. So it appears she really has committed to the task of burying you. That's like a terrible way to go, too. What an unfortunate turn of events. Why, though, would she do such a thing? You thought she was your friend. We are friends, the gravedigger says, her voice still worryingly offhand. I'm very fond of you. There's nobody dearer to me than you are. I think in her messed up brain, somehow, she, sees this as a good thing. In her brain, she's so worried about losing us, she thinks she has to do it herself. I've had a really good time with you these last... How long has it been again? I don't remember. Neither do you. Well, if this little detail slipped both of your minds, it can't be all that important. You have other things to worry about. If you really are friends, you say to the gravedigger, then what does she hope to gain by burying you? You do not understand, but you understand her reply even less. Well, here's the thing, the gravedigger says, in a reasonable sort of voice, as though burying somebody alive could ever be thought of as a reasonable action. I've been digging graves for a long time, see? You cannot see it, it's too dark, but you affirm that you do all the same. Well, I was digging all these graves, but I've not had anyone to put them in. Not for ages. It was rather sad. Think you know where this train of logic twisted thought might be going, so you do not interrupt her. You know no good would come of it. All you can do for the present is lie there and listen. I was thinking I'd never find a person to bury in this godforsaken village, not after the plague messed everything up. I was getting desperate. Until you came along, that is. Now that I have somebody I can bury, I'm not going to let the opportunity pass me by. So burying is more important to you than I am? Sorry, but this is just part of my job. It's what my father taught me to do. It's all I know how to do. I don't think your father would like this. I buried my mother and I buried my father. I buried all of my friends. Now I'm going to bury you too. Sound logic in a sense. As the daughter of a gravedigger, digging graves is her job, but something about it wrangles you, because I'm still alive! If only you could put your finger on it. Tell her, this is the worst way to go. Ah, yes. There's a bit of a flaw with her reasoning, is there not? You are not dead, after all. I might not be dead now, the gravedigger says in response to her own ingenuity, but you will be if given enough time. I mean, everybody else I've ever known dies. Who's to say you wouldn't be next? Seems rather more likely that you will die, and quickly, if she persists with her poorly thought-out plan to bury you. Your coffin is not very large. It affords you precious little space. Eventually, trapped within it long enough, you will run out of oxygen. Then you will suffocate. That or you will starve to death. Either way, your demise will be a slow but painful one. Tell her that! You are unsure which death would be worse, though given how precarious your situation is, you do not wish to expend the necessary energy needed to ponder it. You need to plead with the gravedigger, and quickly, while she's still here. You tell her tearfully that you would not leave her. Why would you? Trying to sound as convincing as your disordered nerves will allow, but the gravedigger remains unmoved. You say that, she says, but how can I know you're telling the truth? Well, I'm gonna leave you if you bury me. I thought you said you were a traveler. They never stay put in one place for long. If you'd sick of me before long, then you'd leave me. Well, I'm gonna leave you if you bury me. This way, at least, I can be assured that we'll always stay together. No, because I'll be leaving you. If I bury you like I did the others, we'll never be far apart. I even took care to put you in a nice spot close to my home, so you're only a stone's throw away, really. Isn't that nice? Tell her how painful of a death this is going to be. Privately, you think that the gravedigger has a different conception of the word nice to you. You do not say this, though, however. You cannot say much of anything because the beginning hits in the sudden. Tell her how painful this is, you scream. You beg and you plead, but it does little good. Gravedigger has already buried her mother. She has already buried her little brothers. She's even buried her father, whom she loved above all else. Wait, did she do it while they were alive, though? She thinks by burying you, she's doing onto you a great act of kindness. Oh, jeez. Think that she's going to kill you. In a sense, you are both right. Your opinions are so diametrically opposed on this matter, in fact, that you will never be able to find any common ground. Might as well save your screaming. She will not listen to you. She is beyond listening. Tell her how painful it is! Shush, shush, dear one, says the gravedigger very gently, just as gently as she spoke last night when she confided in you all of her fears. It won't be so bad, really. Nothing'll be able to hurt you down there, but it'll hurt when I suffocate to death. It'll be just like going to sleep for a really, really long time, not when I starve to death. You can rest, and while you rest, I'll tend to you. Plant flowers on your grave. You'd like that, wouldn't you? No! This way, we can always be together, and I'll never be lonely again. Yes, you will, because no one will be there talking to you. While the gravedigger speaks, she begins to pile even more soil onto the roof of your coffin. The sound of dirt on top of you, on your arms, your legs, and your head, conceals your companion's final words. You cannot hear her. You cannot hear anything beyond the sounds of dirt and the scrapings of the shovels and your own desperate, frantic screams. You scream and you scream without cease until your throat feels hoarse, but your efforts are in vain. You hammer on the— You should have told her how painful that is! She clearly doesn't understand! You hammer on the lid of the coffin with as much strength as you can muster, but the lid on the coffin is nailed shut. You are in no position to remove it. All you can do is lie there, screaming and crying and banging your fists on the roofs of the coffin over and over as more dirt and debris fall on top of you. Eventually, enough dirt falls on you to stifle your screams for good. Isn't she gonna get lonely? Just, try to survive for as long as you can, and hopefully she'll rethink this decision. The gravedigger can no longer hear you, and you can no longer hear her. You are all alone, trapped in a narrow box which, regardless of what you want, is now your new home. You can smell the soil in the backs of your nostrils while you inhale. It's so potent you can taste it on your tongue. You can taste the eventual, inevitable decay of your own body. You will remain trapped here underground forever and ever. Or, to use less melodramatic terms, until the last of your energy escapes you and you succumb to your own slow suffocation. This was not a good ending. It isn't a very pleasant way to go, but you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. How? You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led you to untimely demise. Which one was I supposed to change? Now what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? I'm gonna save. Let's fight against it. Are you not happy with the hand that fate has dealt you? No! Very well, cannot blame you. It's quite a grim ending. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy, and you are rather dearer to me than that. It's her talking. She's the narrator. Now, why don't we give this another go? Just try not to be buried alive this time. I can only endure so much if you're screaming. Fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? It brings us back here. That's actually really interesting. I sadly am gonna have to get off because my health sadly can only go so far. Or my stamina. But let's find someone to raid. Thank you guys so much for being here. Ah! Let's go raid Pan. Okay, my loves, go be as nice to him as you are to me. I will see you next time. Please do not get buried alive by a crazy lesbian. Or by bisexual. Please do not get buried alive by any sort of woman.